Jared Diamond covers baseball for the Wall Street Journal. The Midsummer Classic last night, American League wins. And now we get to the second half of the season. But before we get there, I'm going to bring Jared in and ask him an interesting question regarding what we just saw in the NBA with free agency. And a lot of people talking about, well, baseball needs to do that. Baseball needs to fix that. Jared, I don't know that you have an answer on how to do it, but can baseball do something to do what basketball just did? I mean, the excitement around the NBA is unbelievable, and baseball has players just signing halfway through the season as big-time free agents. So is there something baseball could do to rival what the NBA just did?
The way baseball could do what the NBA just did is the one thing that will never happen in baseball, and that's the implementation of a salary cap. And that is something that the players will never agree to. It's something the players should never agree to. The fact that there is no salary cap in Major League Baseball is the single greatest achievement of any union in all of sports. It is remarkable that they've been able to go this long without a salary cap. But this is the trade-off. Their salaries are enormous. Bryce Harper signed a $330 million guaranteed contract, where an NBA max deal was, $140-something million? That's what they're balancing. And while both the players and the league in baseball would love a baseball-style free agency, the players don't want it enough to give up the incredible thing they've won, which is being able to negotiate whatever contract they possibly can.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of people have kind of talked about, is that the baseball offseason is just no longer exciting anymore. And I don't know that that matters to baseball, but I don't know. People are talking about basketball a whole heck of a lot while baseball's going into the middle of the summer here, which they used to own. And it seems that more people are interested in who's signing where than who's playing on the diamond. I mean, is that a problem?
That's a big problem. I think that's in many ways a bigger problem than, or as big of a problem as the baseball off season, which is too slow and doesn't have the same juice it used to have. I think a bigger problem for baseball is what you just said, and that's the act of basketball players moving teams seems to be capturing the attention of fans more than real life baseball games that actually count. That's a problem for baseball for sure, and it's just another data point in sort of the growing problem baseball faces in terms of marketing its players, in terms of appealing to a young audience, appealing to people on social media. This isn't stuff that baseball doesn't know. It's just these are the problems the industry continues to face.
Yeah. Jared Diamond, Wall Street Journal, covers baseball. All-Star game last night. Another story at the All-Star game. Verlander comes out and says he thinks the balls are juiced. We got home runs flying all over the place at record numbers. The Phillies might give up more home runs than any team ever. Verlander's comments, home runs, good or bad? How is the home run affecting baseball? Good, bad, indifferent?
That really seems to be a matter of pure opinion and one's perspective on how they feel about 2019 baseball. What we know for sure is that 2019 baseball resembles no version of baseball that's ever existed at any other point in history. What we are seeing is a completely new product, and I don't think that could be overstated, just how unusual, it's beyond unusual, it's truly unique, the version of baseball we're seeing. And I know there are fans that love it. They love dingers. They just want to see balls flying all over the place. There's other fans that really lament the old way of the game and miss things that have gone away because of home runs. So I don't exactly know which one is better. I think I have my own personal opinions about it, but the job of baseball is to figure out what appeals to the most people, especially young people who theoretically will make up their fan base moving forward. I think what players want is just more transparency from the league. The ball is undoubtedly changed. We know that for a fact. The players, or at least some players like Justin Verlander, believe the league did it on purpose. The league insists that it's not on purpose, and they don't know why this happened. And I think that frustrates players, that they feel in the dark about a giant thing happening in the game.
We got one trade deadline this year. I know that sounds bonkers. Wow, there's only one? Yes, there's only one in baseball now. Better, worse, more interesting, less interesting? Is it going to be a factor because of where it is and how many teams kind of think they're in it? Do you think July 31st will be like Thunderdome here, or is it going to kind of come and go?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think the idea of only having one trade deadline is good, because I think just for fans, this whole July 31st trade deadline and having another different trade deadline a month later was confusing. And I think a lot of casual fans didn't even understand what the August trade deadline was. So I think this is generally better just to have one. But the question is going to be, are there enough sellers? At least that's how things look right now. If you look at the standings today, and we're still a couple of weeks away from that deadline, and especially in the National League, every National League team except for two is within 5.5 games of a playoff spot. Every National League team but two. That includes the Giants, who are 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. It includes the Reds, who are 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. So right now, there's just a lot of teams that say we think we're in it. So at the moment, it's a big seller's market, huge seller's market. I think what would be better for the trade deadline is that a few more of these teams maybe admit to themselves that they're not making the playoffs this year. And I think that will happen. I think there's definitely some teams out there that currently are on the fence about which way to go that are going to have to tilt to the seller's side, which will make things interesting, because there's certainly a lot of really good teams out there that need the help.
Jared, we're in a National League market, Philadelphia about 50 miles from here. Of course, the Phillies have been, I don't know, would you classify them as disappointing, a team that is in the wild card right now? If the season ended, they'd be in the playoffs, but are they classified as disappointing to you?
Yeah, they're on that list. They're not at the top of my list of teams that I would say are big disappointments this season. For me, that list is Boston and St. Louis are the two big ones for me who are disappointments. The Phillies are a playoff team, like you said, if the season ended today. But I think the concerning part for the Phillies is just how quickly the division is, I wouldn't say it's got fallen out of hand, but has gotten sort of a big gap. I mean, 6.5 games now separating Philadelphia and Atlanta. And I think the speed at which that happened, where it seemed like the Phillies were going to be in contention for the NL East title, and then suddenly the Braves just ran past them like the Phillies were standing still. I think that is the concerning part for the Phillies. And I also think if you're Gabe Kapler, you have to be a little concerned, because I have to imagine that if they miss the playoffs again, there's going to be a lot of people calling for a new manager in Philadelphia. So there's a lot riding, I think, on the next couple of months for the Phillies.
Jared Diamond, Wall Street Journal, covers Major League Baseball. National League, Dodgers and everybody else? Dodgers and another challenger?
I think all of baseball is Dodgers and everybody else right now.
You think the Dodgers are that much better than, say, Houston and New York in the American League?
I really do, because I think they have just fewer holes. The Yankees have played great, but I personally do not believe the Yankees, with their current starting rotation, is going to win the World Series. Now, I think the Yankees are going to get another pitcher before now and then. In fact, if I could say one thing for sure about the trade deadline, it will be the Yankees getting a starting pitcher. We'll see who that person is. You know, the Astros, for as great as they are, they've struggled a little bit of late. They've actually looked surprisingly vulnerable. The Dodgers have looked nothing but unstoppable all year long. I don't know an area where they will look to add in the trade deadline, because they don't seem to have a hole anywhere. They have incredible depth. They have maybe the National League MVP in Cody Bellinger. They have Ryu, who started the All-Star game yesterday, who's a Cy Young candidate. If you're the Dodgers, they'll do something in the trade deadline, because of course they will. But I don't think I know even where they're going to look. That's how good they are.
Jared, you were in Cleveland for the All-Star game. Obviously, it was a great game, great night. Overall, being out there, I saw, the weather was almost perfect. It seemed like it was overall, from the Derby to the end of the game, with everything that went on, it seemed that Cleveland did a great job.
It was a great All-Star week. The Home Run Derby was an incredible boost for the game. It was an incredible event. It was a fantastic Home Run Derby to see these two young guys, the future of baseball, doing what they did in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Pete Alonso. I think had a real coming out party nationally this week. I think Pete Alonso is now a household name among sports fans. And the All-Star game, while it didn't have the fireworks, actually it felt sort of like a normal baseball game. It took less than 3 hours, so it's kind of remarkable for the All-Star game. it had a lot of just really touching moments. I felt the situation with Carlos Carrasco, how all the Indians players went out and stood with him during the Stand Up to Cancer tribute, was maybe the most amazing thing I've seen in any All-Star game I've ever been at, and I've been to the last 7.
Wow.
That was a really just incredible moment that I think gave everyone in the ballpark chills. Seeing CeCe Sabathia go out to the field, mound visit with Aroldis Chapman to get a standing ovation from the fans in Cleveland. These were just like great little touches that were not about the game itself, but were just about baseball putting on a good show and showcasing its players and showcasing itself. And I think that was a big win. All of those little moments during the game. And Shane Bieber winning the MVP in his home ballpark, that's pretty cool too.
Jared Diamond covers baseball for the Wall Street Journal. Follow him at Jared Diamond on Twitter. And obviously the second half begins. It's getting underway, and we'll see Phillies fans if they can make a move. Dodgers seem to be the favorite. I agree with you, Jared, on that. And, of course, you can check out Jared at Jared Diamond on Twitter. Thank you, pal. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Jared Diamond, good baseball stuff.